An equation means nothing to me unless it expresses a thought of God, said Srinivasa Ramanujan. It was Mathematics Day, National Mathematics Day on December 22nd last week when we celebrated it in our country. And Ramanujan is who I celebrate this week on Meaningful Mondays. Hello, hi, and welcome. This is Rashmi Shetty. An amazing human being who was born in a small village in Erode, and reading about him made me understand what my resolution for 2022 is. He is someone who's passionate about maths. Right from the time he was little, maths fascinated him. Had the good fortune of going to an English medium school, and the amount of depth he went into maths with, realized very early on that it's a blessing for him. In fact, he says that his meditation time was his connect with the Divine Mother, and it's what he saw in those meditative moments that he wrote down, which became priceless to prove his genius. And his passion for maths was so much that, in spite of having a scholarship, he became a dropout twice from college as he failed in all the non mathematical subjects because his focus was only math. He got married and therefore had to pick up a job and went around showing his books to people saying, "This is what I write, can you help me publish it?" Because somehow his only motto was it should not die with him. I don't know how, but maybe intuitively he knew he would not live long. And not surprising, the genius left the mortal world when he was just 32 years old. But this year, it was his 134th birth anniversary, and he's still relevant. His books are still being figured out. His derivations are still trying to be understood by mathematicians in India and world over. Isn't it amazing that he continued to believe? And amongst all the other people, when he realized that around him he's not going to get help, he started sending it to professors outside India. And it was one professor, G.H. Hardy in Cambridge University, who, with the now famous opening lines of the letter he had written him, picked those papers and was astounded by the genius in it and invited Ramanujan to come to Cambridge. Their partnership, well, is history. Amazingly documented. You just type Srinivasa Ramanujan on YouTube and you'll get the huge number of documentaries that are there. It's amazing. It's actual goosebump feeling to see what his life was like. But the humility with which he carried it all, and at the same time, when he knew that what he's saying is right, the confidence with which he spoke is what got him a huge admirer, first in Professor Hardy and then the rest of the professors in Cambridge. In fact, of the many things Professor Hardy shares about their relationship and camaraderie, he speaks about this magical Ramanujan Hardy number, which is 1729. And he says when he went to see Ramanujan in the hospital, how Ramanujan was sleeping, and he said, "You know what, Ramanujan, I came in a taxi, a cab, which had a very dull number, 1729. And immediately, in a jiffy, Ramanujan was like, "No, this is a very interesting number. In fact, it is the only number that is the sum of cubes of two different pairs. And thereby, if you see, it's 12 cube plus 1 cube and 10 cube plus 9 cube. So it is the smallest number that is expressible in cubes." And later they realized it was there in one of his notebooks, this particular number. This is just one of the many fascinating stories about the genius that Ramanujan was. But the life lessons that I picked up while I was watching all those documentaries and reading about him was the fact that keep that endless curiosity alive till his last breath. He was writing on papers available, and whatever they could manage to salvage has been salvaged. God knows how many have got lost. But that endless curiosity is what made him that legend we still remember. All of us are blessed, and so was he. Meditatively, he got in touch with his blessing. It's just that we need to pause to understand what our blessing is. He asked for help when he knew people around him don't understand what he's bringing out. He wrote to different people. And if he had not written to Professor G.H. Hardy, Professor Hardy wouldn't have known he existed, and maybe the world also would not have known. So ask for help when you think you need it. The next very important life lesson was nobody understood him. But that didn't stop him from being persistent. He continued to write notebook after notebook, paper after paper, pursuing, seeing where he would get the recognition, but didn't stop because the world around him did not recognize him. And for me, from there is my resolution that I derived from him, which is success versus significance. It is so important that for us to understand the difference, because success is all about our own selves. Success is what we achieve in this lifetime, while significance is what lives beyond. And that for me, in Ramanujan's life, was very clearly shown. That if you equate it to success, well, maybe or maybe not, his life was not as successful because he did not pursue success. But what he did leave behind was pursuing significance, and thereby is relevant even now, 134 years later. How amazing is that? And John Maxwell says it best when he says, success is when I add value to myself, and significance is when I add value to others. And that's where I got my resolution for 2022. What is yours? I'd love to know. Stay safe, stay blessed, have a meaningful, purposeful year ahead, and God bless.